Eternal greetings and good wishes. Consciousness in all. Only to remind to us that we are. The other name for that is the vehicles of Christ, or the vehicles of the divine. When man is born, he is undoubtedly divine. But to be able to function in tune with divinity, he has to cultivate the body. The body has to be cultivated in terms of its buddhic, mental, emotional and physical planes. Then the body is useful for the work of the Christ, or work of Vishnu or Krishna or consciousness, whatever you call it. Every group life is meant to reorient our thought, our emotion and our body to restructure it so that it enables the light to transmit through. And the qualities, the other two qualities of light, they are the will and the love. So let us try to invoke as much light as we can these 3 days into us, and then try to experience that light, nourish it and ensure that it grows in us. With that as theme, we normally speak of one wisdom concept or the other so that we are engaged in the buddhic plane. The purpose of teaching is only to ensure that the one who speaks and the ones who listen, they are raised to buddhic plane. Otherwise we remain in the mental and personality planes. That's why it is considered that group life is essential from time to time, which is called satsang in Sanskrit, which would enable us to gain more and more that which is permanent and discriminate that which is impermanent from the permanent. So that we settle in that which is permanent and we work in those areas which are mutable. The first step is to raise to buddhic plane, next step is to raise to the plane of bliss. And then comes self-realization, and then comes the final step of absorption into that. So every group life contemplates invocation of light. Depending upon the orientation of each member, the light gets invoked and the related love and will. And then the teaching elevates us into the buddhic plane, which is not otherwise possible. And the collective consciousness has a better impact on each other. Individually, we may not be able to do as effectively and as regularly the prayers as we do in a group. and we may not be studying as effectively as we study in a group life. That's why the great teacher Shankaracharya, he said that satsang leads to nissanga. Nissanga means non-attachment. Actually, the word used in Bhagavad Gita is asanga. Asanga has two meanings. Sanga means attachment. Asanga means attachment with a. Gita says that I am a among the letters. The Lord says, I am a among the letters. So when you associate with the divine, the detachment is a natural happening. Asanga also means non-attachment. It is a difficult process that you try to eliminate. You eliminate places, you eliminate persons, you eliminate life situations, try to avoid and run away. The more you run away, the things run after you. So non-attachment is not the right definition for the word asanga given in Bhagavad Gita. It means the key which is given in 15th chapter is that you associate with me in all that is. In domestic activity, associate with me and conduct the domestic activity. The members of the family are no different than me. So see me in them and conduct the work. Likewise, see me in the economic activity that you conduct and conduct yourself. In social activity also, see me and conduct. It's an effort to see the one in all at all times. As much as this effort gets fulfilled, so much the detachment happens. Yes. If you take to light, darkness disappears. If you don't want light, it doesn't work. If you don't want darkness, it doesn't work. If you want the darkness should go away, you light a candle. The same darkness appears as light. So what you see as darkness is nothing but the ignorance. So the light, when you invoke, you see the light veiled by the varieties of mental concepts or emotional concepts. So Shankaracharya says, from satsang enables us to get into asanga. Once you get into that state of seeing the one in all, you also overcome illusions. Satsangatve nisangatvam, nisangatve nirmohatvam, meaning the next step is dissolution of illusions. Once you are out of illusion, your consciousness is very steady. That is what is called nischala, stable consciousness. Once you gain that stable consciousness, you are the immortal one. Nischala tattve jivan mukti. You are eternal, you are immortal, and you continue to be beyond the illusion and attachment and ignorance. That's why the seers have conceived this process of group life once in a way, periodically, so that in such a group every quarter there is a renewal of the thought. That's how 4 group lives are recommended. So hence we are once again here. And let us try to make a good use of it. Thank you. Fraternal greetings and good wishes to the brothers and sisters that are gathered here this morning. It is due to the innate.
Darf ich nochmal eben sagen, es wird hier Geräte geben, wo die rote Lampe leuchtet. Die Geräte müssen ausgeschaltet werden, weil sie zurzeit stören. Da sind die Batterien vermutlich nicht aufgeladen.
The journey of man leads him to a station where he gets interested in his higher counterpart. The man in man feels the need to associate with the God in man. As a consequence, he gets into varieties of exercises such as and this set results in trying to develop certain noble traits trying to distinguish that which is desirable with that which is not desirable. And proceeds in search of God. Once he is into the urge to search for the divine, he travels quite long before he knows that the one whom he is searching is within himself. Until then the search continues in the outer. He goes through many places, many practices which are religious. Yes. And the pursuit can never be complete for man until he lands in the right path to search for the God in man. This journey itself is quite a long journey. The truth is, the man is the reflection of God. God exists as man. When God exists as man, A reflection happens of God in man as man in man. Consequently, the reflected man, trying to find its original, looks around and around and around until he settles with himself, knowing that he is the reflected one and the original is also in the same form, same features, but without limitations. In the reflection there are limitations. Just like the moon reflected in the lake or the sun reflected in the lake suffers distortions in the lake, while the sun in the sky or the moon in the sky do not. The God in man basically reflects through three qualities. That is what is given by the symbol as a circle within which there is a triangle, and through the triangle the one beyond the triangle projects as an entity. This is the first reflection. That's why that symbol is given for meditation. Just to know that it is the reflected one or the phantom which is trying to align with the original. Through the central point of the triangle, he can get to the other side of the triangle, provided the triangle is an equilateral triangle. The aperture in the center does not give way unless all the three angles of the triangle are equal. That's the importance of a triangle with equal degrees. These three qualities are essentially one of dynamism, inertia and poise. Dynamism and inertia should get equated so that there is equilibrium into which both these qualities are absorbed. That is the first reflection of God in man as man in man. Then comes a second reflection of man through the five senses into objectivity. So he is reflected again through five senses in five varieties of ways. The three triangles and the five senses, the three qualities and the five senses become the avenues for God to exist as man. That is how the scriptures say that the nature is eightfold. Through nature, the divine is reflected through the three qualities and the five senses. So before you think, one thinks of equating the three angles of the triangle, he should be able to withdraw into the equilibrium of the five senses. Because from objectivity to subjectivity, one can travel only when the senses are withdrawn. That's why even in meditation, since the senses are not withdrawn, when we close our eyes, the mind goes after things that are seen, that were heard, and that were experienced in varieties of ways. The sense activity keeps man in the objectivity only and does not allow him to get into subjectivity. In the name of meditation or contemplation, when we are trying to turn inward, the senses by habit push the man outside. The senses conduct the outward travel. There is what is called an outward travel or an inward travel. Inward travel is the spiritual dimension of Sagittarius. Where the inclination is to see from within than to move outside. Meditation is an effort to suspend the sense activity. But as we close our eyes, we remember our dear ones, or the places, or our major places of activity, or our problems, or about our health. There are so many thoughts that a person generates while he is in meditation. Almost all of them relate to the events and experiences of objectivity only. That's why meditation is not really experienced, although a habit to meditate is created through regular functioning, regular working with meditation. That's where the first aphorism of yoga becomes very relevant. That yoga is to suspend the sense activity. Unless the sense activity is suspended, there is no yoga. Meaning, if you close your eyes, you need not recollect through mind any of the figures relating to the mundane world. You don't have to listen to what is said by colleagues, friends, group members. You don't have to recollect all that you have spoken in the preceding hours. And also not recollecting the experiences of touch and smell and taste. Is that happening? The seers say, we know that it is not. Yes. We know that with all good intention, you close your eyes. But we also know what happens to you. When once you close your eyes, yes, you are, for all outward purposes, seem to be contemplating within. But there is, in fact, no real contemplation inside. Yes, the mind travels in the objectivity. So to overcome this situation, lot of outward travels connected with the divine thought are prescribed in religions. That's how people move to Himalayas or to Alps, yes, or go on pilgrimage. Even while moving on pilgrimage, how many of us are with the thought of the divine is again a question. For example, there is a spiritual center nearby. In the name of Extenstein, we propose to move there tomorrow afternoon. How many get oriented to the thought of the spirit relating to Extenstein? And how many are engaged in just casually going there, talking the usual things and thinking the usual things? So what happens with a normal seeker is, he does things contrary to that which he seeks. Yes. The idea is to experience the divine. With that idea, we would have visited many pilgrim centers, many spiritual centers. But even there the mind puts us away from the thought of the divine. That is where it is said that there is a portal in the form of a 5-pointed star, which should give way to the inner side of things. The first portal to the temple within is a 5-pointed star. Yeah. All the 5 points relating to the 5 senses shall have to be withdrawn into the center. The 5 points relating to the 5-pointed star shall have to be converged into their center. The only single way it can happen is according to the masters of wisdom and according to the scriptures, serving the fellow beings. As much as you serve the fellow beings without pride, so much you can turn inward. To reach the Most High in you, you have to work for the fellow beings. There is no other way. The more you serve the fellow being, the more you are allowed into the inner chambers of the temple. So that's where you have many regulations relating to service. The fundamental key for man in man to reach man in God is to serve the fellow beings without complaint. Feeling the fellow beings as the manifestation of the divine. Insofar as this activity is not, however knowledge we gain, we do not get near to the divine. It remains only theoretical, not practical. In the epic Mahabharata, Arjuna is considered as the principle of mind with the 2 elder brothers and 2 younger brothers, meaning the central brother of the 5 brothers. He lives life to serve the brothers. Brothers has to be seen as a symbolic presentation of the brotherhood of humanity or the brotherhood of souls. He keeps serving them right from childhood. And he is the most balanced one among the 5. There is an allegory that he was to hit a target which is very high, not looking at the target directly, but seeing its reflection in down below. This is the message. To aim high, to reach high, you have to look down. Look to the divine in the reflection. Because all that we see is no different from the divine. The Upanishad says, Om iti etat. Katha Upanishad, which speaks of immortality and self-realization. Says, all this is Om. And this is no different from that. In every theology, God is referred to as that. How do you experience that? That can be experienced through its reflection to start with. So the creation is called this. The divine is called that. So that is Tat in Sanskrit. Yes. Iti is this. Tat is that. Om iti etat. This is verily that. Om. When this is divine, what is visible is divine. Whatever you wish to do to divine, do it to this. Whatever service you would like to render to God, render to plant, render to animal, render to human. As much as you do that, so much your senses get synthesized, synchronized. It is also a way to release oneself from his own ego. More and more knowledge makes person more and more proud. More and more proud one is, less and less he is useful to people around. Men of pride are not useful to any. If they are useful to themselves, it is already something. So the path to light or the path to truth demands that we see that in this. There is a story or a part of story in Mahabharata where Arjuna was asked to shoot a moving symbol of two fishes. The symbol of two fishes keep rotating. And he was asked to look into a pond below. Look to the fishes in the pond and hit the target above. If he does so, he shall gain a virgin. That's how the story is. Yes. That is what I am speaking to you now. When you wish to hit high, you shall have to keep your eyes down. You shall have to see what you have to do here and now, in the immediate surroundings. Yes. World service cannot be done just because we think of world service. World disciple is not made in a day. Yes. As much as he serves his surroundings, his brothers, his family, his relatives, his friends, and the people around him, more and more responsibilities reach up to him. And gradually he grows in discharging the responsibilities as they keep increasing. So he was asked to look down into the reflection and hit the two fishes. The two fishes represent Pisces in us, which is the most high center, where you can meet that, but that exists in reflection. So he was to look this side and hit that side. So that he would gain the virgin. This has the message that through service to fellow beings, one can gain virginity. Virginity is the product of those who serve. It is the result of selfless service, pure service, a service where no strings are attached, a service which is unconditional. Service becomes a way of living. Yes. Remuneration is forgotten somewhere on the way. The keynote of Virgo is service without remuneration. That's the principle of virginity. Those who serve without expectation of any kind, not looking even for psychological reward, forget about monetary reward and other worldly appreciations. Yes. Not looking for any kind of compensation for acts of service done, to reach that state where service becomes a way of life. And that I am serving is not even felt by the one who does it. That's the service which enables us to gain the virgin of Virgo, which is the reflection of Pisces as its seventh house. The opposite sign of Pisces is Virgo. So the virginity is gained by those who serve the fellow beings as the divine. Such virgin mind is the mind that can go through the portal of the 5-pointed star. That's why around Christmas time so much display of this five-pointed star is done. The five-pointed star can be blue, can be white, can be of aquamarine color, can be of golden yellow, can be of orange, can be of red, or of brown, or black. Black represents total lack of understanding of service. That means the portal cannot be opened at all. Brown represents a bit of will in mundane matters. Orange represents will which is transforming to be noble. Golden yellow represents further nobility. Aquamarine represents still further nobility. Blue represents total nobility, which is seen as the state where the mind is free from outer reflections. The outer reflects in you, even if you don't want. The senses are meant for us to reflect into objectivity. And the senses should remain quiet if we don't want to get into objectivity. But the five senses become five ropes that pull the man out. So consequently, to release oneself from the multiple pull of the five senses into objectivity, service has come to be as an important step. Yes. As much as you serve, so much the divine reaches up to you. This is the clue. Yes. Divine is with those who are ready to serve. That's how in this story, when Arjuna was hitting the target, first time in the life of Arjuna, Krishna is said to be present in the audience, watching the activity of Arjuna. That's the first encounter. In this sense, Arjuna does not know that Krishna is there. But Krishna has come to watch Arjuna. And he sees Arjuna for the first time. That means the first looks of the Lord are upon those who are bent upon serving, aiming to serve, aiming to gain virginity. Eventually Arjuna hits the target, and then the virgin is given in marriage. Symbolically, she was asked to share the lady he gained with his brothers. Isn't it? That's how the story is. Arjuna gains the lady Draupadi, whose name is also Krishna. Yes. Draupadi is also Krishna because Krishna means invisible. Yes. The virgin nature is in each one of us in an invisible manner. It is hidden. It is dormant. Yes. It can express itself only when we start working in terms of serving others. While serving people, we cannot get frustrated. There are many who get frustrated having served. Frustration is due to lack of response from the others for the service rendered. So the hidden lady in you is gained by you. The hidden nature in you is the virgin nature. She is full of shine. She is full of golden light. But that golden light is not experienced because the related virginity is not gained. Hence she is called Krishna. There are 3 Krishnas in Mahabharata, of which the lady of the 5 sons of light is one. What is the symbolic expression behind sharing the lady that she gained in favor of his brothers? The symbolic understanding as is given in the scriptures is, once you gain purity, you have to share that purity with others to elevate them from their suffering. That means you walk into a greater measure of divine life. That you need to use your divine nature only again to serve the fellow beings. There is no such thing as a termination of service in life. Only the measure of service keeps increasing. So that way Arjuna said to have shared his lady with his brothers. Yes. Consequently, he was invited to Indraprastha. These are all stations of a disciple on the path. That's why Master Jwalkul prefers to refer to Arjuna many times when it comes to discipleship. As man gains virginity, he turns inward. The portal of the 5-pointed star is open to him. That portal exists in him. In the heart center. So entry into the heart center will enable us to gain the golden light And thereafter the journey continues towards Indraprastha, meaning the path to the brow, where there is the place of Indra is. Brow center is below the triangular forces. The portal is the center of the triangle, is just down under that. So that's how from 5-pointed star portal, from a portal of 5-pointed star, there is the movement towards the portal of the triangle with a central point. This is the basic work that is contemplated in the present times as the major initiation. That we need to serve and make entry into the cave of the heart, and thereafter continue to learn. Yes. That learning is within your own system because you receive more and more knowledge from within and from without. Once you enter through the portal of the heart, you get wisdom from within and from without it is confirmed by the scriptures. The clues to scriptures are also well revealed from within. Thereby the keys relating to the scriptures are made available, which would enable the virgin mind to grow in its comprehension and to improve upon its brilliance. That's where, after having been installed in Indraprastha, Arjuna moves in exile to the abode of Indra. Yes. The abode of Indra, between the abode of Indra and abode of man, all the Devic manifestations can be experienced. Yes. In the Buddhic plane, there is tangible experiencing of the divine places and the divine beings. And the divine ashrams, where the plan can be better accomplished, better comprehended, to be accomplished later. That's how, having gained virginity, the work proceeds. Yes. You find similar dimensions in the life of every initiate, including Jesus. To gain virginity is a step. And to widen the comprehension and the consciousness is the next step. Where we learn to be more and more inclusive and try to be less and less exclusive. Normally, men of intellect, men of knowledge, they get into exclusivity. Men of service and of purity, they learn to be more inclusive. So, inclusivity is the path. Separativity is not the path at all. So, as one proceeds in those lines, one would reach up to the triangle where the real contemplations can happen. Until then, meditation is creating a habit of turning inward. And turning inward is accomplished only through self-forgetfulness in service. So that is what makes the search meaningful. Otherwise the search remains in wilderness. It is like groping for light in the shadow of light. The shadow is the only place where light is not available. And has the need to serve and get into the light, which would enable us to gain the related equilibrium between subjectivity and objectivity. It's a place of judge. In every two situations, there is a central theme. Every point of equilibrium is the one into which the two extremes are absorbed. So the objectivity and the subjectivity meet in the heart center, which is considered to be the center of the man. It's not already the center of the divine. Because heart center is the fourth center and human being is the fourth one from above and from below. After mineral, plant and animal comes human. So the fourth center is the appropriate place for the human being. So the effort is to ascend the animal and get into the human. Because the centers below the diaphragm are the centers relating to the body, which is considered to be the vehicle of the man, but not man as such. So to mount the vehicle is the first step, where contemplation upon the five-pointed star becomes very relevant. That's why in the initial stages, five-pointed star is given for meditation. The message is to contemplate upon the withdrawal of five senses into the pulsation of the heart. Only then there is the entry into subjectivity. When once we make an entry into subjectivity, in this step we ascend from animal to human. Yes. And as we keep moving with knowledge and with service, we tend to touch upon the buddhic planes, where you find the related beings of light guiding us. That's how more and more in the life of Arjuna, Krishna comes nearer and nearer. The divine comes nearer and nearer and would even sit in your chariot, that is your body along with you, in an active manner. He is there in the body. The divine is in the body. He is dormant. He would actively participate with you and even conduct your journey as your driver. Provided the attitude to serve continues to be as pure and as virulent as it has been in the beginning. So that's where there is the internal journey starting in contrast to the external journeys that people make in the beginning stages. On the path to divine, yes, at that point, that is when you have reached the heart, there is a judicious movement forward. The judiciousness is in terms of the degree of service. What is it for others? In any act that is done, what is it for others? How does it help the surrounding life? So such a judicious approach, yes, becomes an important factor, and the movement continues with such a judiciousness and discrimination. Once we reach through such judicious process into greater states of understanding and the consequent growth in the degree of service, and in terms of skills of serving, yes, service, as you get bent upon service, you slowly walk into multiple skills of service. You can help people in varieties of ways. Yes. You start serving with the help of occult sciences. That's how the activity of healing comes to be. There is psychic healing and etheric cleansing through homeopathy, yes, and natural healing through naturopathy, yes, healing through right guidance, through astrology. Like that, through astrology, through homeopathy, through naturopathy, and through scriptures. Slowly, one by one, multiple skills to serve keep happening, and the skills are more and more applied to serve people. as much as you apply these skills for service, more skills keep coming to you. If the available skills are not well used, new skills cannot be acquired. This is the law. You cannot get into multiple skills to serve unless the existing skills to serve are well used. That's how Arjuna becomes skillful in multiple ways. Thereafter comes the contemplation. Having turned inward and having acquired greater knowledge and having demonstrated greater measure of service, then Arjuna was asked to meditate upon the cosmic Lord of will to know the plan. Since his mind is already turned inward and he has demonstrated such selfless service towards his brothers and even visited the center of Indra. Yes. He is recommended to contemplate upon Lord Shiva, the will, the cosmic will center. So that's how we have to understand things step by step and carry out the practice as aspirants with certain order and in an organized manner. Otherwise it becomes a routine activity. Each one of us get into human bodies to pursue the purpose of the soul. Because human body is the only body where the purpose of the soul can be better accomplished. But when the soul enters into the body, it develops a personality which continues with him life after life. That's where the reincarnation becomes essential. The human soul, as it enters into the body, the soul as it enters into human body, develops its personality. The personality is more oriented towards objectivity. And the pursuit in the objectivity is unending. Consequently, as one ends up with that life, there would be a lot of unfulfilled desires, personality desires. Those unfulfilled desires once again demand a body. The soul too demands the body because soul has to achieve its purposes. Each time soul comes to achieve the purpose into the body, the personality also accompanies, and the personality accomplishes its purposes more than the soul. So the personality conditions the soul and utilizes the body more for its purposes than for the purposes of the soul. So again, another opportunity through incarnation happens. Again, personality is ahead of the soul. The soul also tries to work out its purposes. Through time, meaning through many incarnations. Slowly, the personality and the soul gain some little understanding, where the personality is also willing to the soul to fulfill the soul's purposes. Yes. According to a Purana, normally a human being takes 2.1 million incarnations before it can accomplish the divine. Yes. Please don't get discouraged. During the last 777 incarnations, the urge for the divine grows. Yes. During the last 777 incarnations, the urge for the divine grows. So we are in that category. There is the urge for the divine, but there is also the personality. Yes. Once in a way, the soul's purposes are worked out. But many times it is personality that uses the body. So, the usage of body as between the soul and the personality keeps happening until slowly soul takes a dominant part and personality takes to a secondary role. So that is what is called the state of second initiation, where the life is tending more towards divine activity and less towards mundane activity. If it is 777 lives, to cover the path from the point of the spur of divinity in us, it would be somewhat a cycle of 5,000 years, taking an average life at 70 years. Taking the average life at 70, 777 incarnations would make up something like 5,000 years. Yes. That is a cycle of time. Yes. For those who are really good and sincere, it is said to be 4,320 years. So if you add up the cusp period, it can be 4,700 and odd. Cusp is generally taken as 1/10. So counting from the beginning of Kali Yuga, we are around that time now. So those who have travelled well all these years are the ones who stand a chance. Likewise, humanity keeps moving onward. So that's how we have the soul, the personality and the body. Body being the vehicle of the soul and personality. The good day is that day when the personality tries to becomes vehicle of the soul. Then it is a happy coincidence between the three. The personality is guided by the soul, and personality guides the body. So from soul to personality and from personality to the body, there is the flow of the plan. And that can be worked out. Initially, if the five senses are withdrawn from objectivity, at will, and five senses are projected into objectivity, again at will, for service purposes. That should be the basic understanding. So we can't have our sense activity in a senseless manner and think of walking towards divinity. It's a path of folding back, process of folding back. We need to fold back to touch the original and then unfold again. Unfoldment without gaining the touch has not much meaning. It is only a mockery of the discipleship. So the ability to withdraw from the senses is therefore seen as the first step, which is an important step, and all religions basically demand this to happen. The five-pointed star is therefore considered as the most important symbol for meditation, and the star has many colors, as I said. Yes. The colors of the star gradually improve when the desire and aversion are neutralized. Not desiring is one thing, not disliking is another thing. People may be able to limit their desires. They should also learn to neutralize their aversions. Yes. Certain people are averse to certain things. Aversion is negative desire. If you are averse to certain things, to that extent you have negative desire in you. That's why desire and aversion are seen as the twin brothers of desire only. Then indifference and ignorance are considered to be another twin. There is the attitude of indifference, which is an aspect of ignorance. Yes. Which we can see within each one of us. Yes. If there is indifference, there is ignorance. If there is ignorance, there is indifference. So these two pairs shall have to be gradually worked out through daily application in life. Unless knowledge is daily applied in life, they don't become our traits. Only then the crocodile becomes a turtle. That's how crocodile and turtle are given as the two symbols for contemplation. Crocodile has grip. Turtle has the ability to withdraw. To be able to withdraw at will, its 4 feet and the head, the neck, into itself is a divine quality existing with the turtle. So that's how turtle is given as a symbol, as a message for withdrawal of the 5 senses. One should know from where to withdraw and where to grip. Gripping undesirable things is problematic. Withdrawal from desirable things is also a problem. Yes. So what is to be gripped and what is to be released? When to grip, when to release. Yes. Where to grip, where to release. Whom to grip, whom to release. This is a knowledge. Yes. You have to hold a baby in your grip. Otherwise it is in danger. But you can't hold an adult child. Yes. There you should learn to release. So whom to grip, whom not to grip. People who need protection, keep them under your grip. People who are able to work out by themselves, release them. Yes. What is desirable for growth, you should grip forever. What is not desirable for growth, you should be able to relieve yourself from it. That's why the turtle and the crocodile become two important symbols. We need to keep them here and there so that when we see them, we get this message. Likewise, there is the turtle and the rabbit. The movement of rabbit is inconsistent. It jumps here and there and does not care to cover the path. while a turtle, though slow, is consistent and gradually reaches the goal. That's what Master Jalkul puts as, make haste slowly. Don't be in a hurry. Work out everything step by step. Yes. Likewise, there is the symbol of Ganesha with rat. To feel that is something divine, etc., is one thing. But to see the message is another thing. Elephant is a Vedic symbol of wisdom. Yes. And rat is a Vedic symbol of skill. Yeah. Rat is Mercury. Ganesha or elephant head is Jupiter. Mercury, if associated with the malefic planets, it can be dangerously skillful, because rat is an excellent pilferer. Rat knows how to skillfully steal. So all intelligent people, unless guided by noble motives, are dangerous. In the sense, they keep thieving. Today all business is mostly thieving. Because it is an intelligent way of thieving. Yes. So if Mercury is associated with Jupiter, it is an ideal situation. Mercury in association with Jupiter gives you manifestation of wisdom in a skillful manner. If only people have wisdom but have no skill to manifest it, that wisdom is not useful. Imagine Ganesha without the rat. That means it is wisdom that has no skillful movement. Imagine rat without Ganesha. It means skillful movement without wisdom. A person who is skillful but not noble is danger to the society. A person who is full of wisdom but has no skill to manifest is of no use to society. Hence the combination of Jupiter and Mercury as the best combination for skillful manifestation of wisdom. This is how the animals have been used in the scriptures as messengers of great traits, noble traits. That's where we need to get into symbolism. Yeah. What is elephant? What is lion? What is horse? These are the three symbols of the three fiery signs. Likewise, what is crocodile of Capricorn? What are the fishes of Pisces? Yes. Buy 2 fishes and 5 loaves of bread. Shall have to be thought over. It is the zodiac. So likewise, the bull. The bull can roar. Yeah. For what purposes is the question. Yeah. The bull is in your throat center. So how do you use the throat? Yes. Etherically, the bull is in Gemini. Physically, it is in Taurus. Yes. So the etherical bull if it roars in terms of sacred sounds, it does the alchemy through the sound. Likewise, what is Gemini? What is the male-female aspect in creation? And what is crab? So these are all symbols that throw a lot of message. So the messages are always given in the scriptures through geometrical symbols or through the forms of animals. The serpent, the tree, the eagle and the serpent. Once we learn these symbols, we can apply those symbols upon the scriptures and get the related knowledge. So, coming back to the theme for the moment, the crocodile and the turtle form the fundamental symbols of discipleship. To grip what is to be gripped strongly, meaning all practices relating to yoga are to be gripped strongly. And in respect of other matters, you can have a released attitude, not to have excessive grip over them. But normally the contrary happens. So that's how it's an introspection so that we get into the inner side of things by clearing the objectivity and by withdrawing the senses into the heart center. We'll continue in the afternoon. Thank you. Namaskar. Hearty fraternal greetings and good wishes. As I said in the morning, that the divine manifests through the triple qualities and five senses. Man is therefore bound in the body in an eightfold manner. He is bound by the three qualities and is further bound by the five senses in the body of five elements, which has five pulsations of life. The body is always considered as a dragon, in the sense that it is run by the principle of five. What happened?
One apparatus without the battery side. So it makes noise.
She disturbs all other.
Uh-huh. So thus the divine descends through the three qualities and through the 5 senses into a body of 5 elements and 5 pulsations. The body is therefore considered to be a dragon, a 5-pointed star. So the release from the 5-pointed star is very important. To be able to live free. Man is born free, but by his inability to function through the qualities and the body of 5 senses, enchains himself in thousands of ways. This enchaining is due to lack of knowledge as to how to work with the body. So that knowledge is what is contemplated for practice, so that we gradually liberate ourselves from the conditioning of the 5 senses and also conditioning of the 3 qualities. To live free in the body is considered to be an optimum state of the being. Without body there is no experience. Several bodies are made. In fact, there are 5 bodies as the layers in an onion, and the individual soul is enveloped in these 5 layers of the body. Each body gives a different experience at a different plane. As many bodies you have, so much is the variety of experience. It's like having a personal aeroplane, a ship, a motor vehicle. A bicycle. It's like that you would make different experiences with different vehicles. The scriptures say the most valuable gift to the man is the body that is given to him. It is full of potential for blissful existence. And when man knows how to work with it, he gets the joy of existence, because that is the plan of the divine in providing the human frame. It is said that when the form of the human is made, the prophecy of creation is fulfilled. There is a huge effort behind formation of a human body. The creation is said to have reached its optimum when the human body is prepared by the Devas. Because It is the body in which there is experiencing of all the 7 planes of existence. As we know, the devas, the angels, they cannot touch down upon the earth. That way they are limited. The animals and other beings of inferior kingdom also cannot experience that which is beyond the physical. Man has all the possibilities. So that's the speciality of the human body. But when man does not know how to work with the human body, he enchains himself much more than other beings. Normally, the best equipment is also the most troublesome equipment when we do not know how to use. People feel that it is more complicated when a new model of any equipment is invented and given. For example, to many people, computer is a complication. For those who know, it is a great facility. Every improvement is a facility to the one who knows how to use it. So the most sophisticated form created by the devas is the human body. Since it is the most sophisticated, it is also the most complicated when one does not know how to use it. Yes. The being who emerges from the one being of the universe should understand the functioning of the 3 qualities and the functioning of the 5 senses. They are divine essentially. The senses are not diabolic. It is our usage that gives us the joy or the sorrow relating to it. The divine being descends through the triangle to become an individual between the man and God in man. The difference is the God in man is beyond the 3 qualities. The man in man is below the 3 qualities. The 3 qualities belong to the nature. The nature emerges from the divine. And the divine enters through the nature. That means it enables the nature to emerge and impregnates the nature. And the nature in turn enables the creation with the 3 qualities of consciousness, force and matter. Force is dynamic, matter is inert, consciousness is the one that keeps the two bound together. Equating the force and matter, one can stay in consciousness. This equation is very important in every aspect of life. In every simple act of life, equating the force and the matter enables us to remain in consciousness. The more we remain in consciousness, force and matter are balanced. If not, either matter or consciousness dominates the other two. That's how we have people with overactive tendencies, underactive tendencies, or the same person with overactivity in one aspect of life, underactivity in another aspect of life. So this imbalance causes loss of consciousness, and that loss of consciousness gives way for mistakes of one type or the other. So basically, man should understand that in essence he is beyond the three, and it is from that divine which is called beingness. He descends through the triangle every day in the morning. The triangular forces conduct the day-to-day activity. These triangular activities in the body are related to the three forces, three lines of force, as Ida, Pingala and Sushumna. The consciousness of man, as he wakes up in the morning, enters into this triangle. In sleep hours, it is beyond the triangle and is one with the Father, one with beingness, one with divinity, one with pure existence. So that existence, as it awakens, it immediately splits into a triple as to what to do, how to do, and then doing. Till man sleeps once again late in the evening, this triple activity continues. When he is engaged in the triple activity, he forgets himself of his original identity, that he is beyond the triple as pure existence and has become a unit of triple consciousness. So this game goes on a day-to-day basis and also on a incarnation-to-incarnation basis. These are the three fundamental principles that run the creation. Beyond the three, it is one. It is one becoming three, and through the three, the fourth one as an individual unit emerges. When he emerges, he is expected to keep the balance between the three forces. The balance between, we attempt at gaining the balance with the three forces, we are required to work out the 5-pointed star. In the path of descent, from existence to awareness, awareness to triple quality, and as an individual being, through triple quality, we enter into a 5-fold system, which is of 5 elements, 5 senses, 5 pulsations. So this descent is called vertical descent. There is a vertical descent from the state of divinity through the triple qualities of nature as an individual being, and there is a further descent into the body of 5 pulsations, 5 senses, 5 elements. Thereafter, the movement is horizontal. So every time there is a vertical descent for horizontal activity. Horizontal in the sense, we move into objectivity. Having moved into objectivity in a horizontal manner, gradually man forgets his vertical descent. So what remains is just a horizontal activity all the time. When man just remains with the horizontal activity of interacting with objectivity, he is equated in the scriptures with the animal who has lost his verticality. The human being is said to be a vertical. He descends vertically and then acts horizontal. So at the end of every activity, he should be able to withdraw from his horizontal activity and make a vertical ascent and reach home. This reaching home on a daily basis or on the basis of conclusion of an activity is therefore strongly recommended. Meditation is a process of vertical ascent. So that's where each time the horizontal has to meet the vertical. That is what is spoken in the that was what was spoken in the morning about withdrawal of the 5 senses into the heart center, where there is the path to vertical ascent. As long as man is entangled with objectivity, yes, he cannot make a vertical ascent. Activity in objectivity is not prohibited. On the contrary, it is recommended for experience. Body is given to experience the objectivity also. It's like a child coming out of the house, but having played in the ground, he is supposed to return home. So this returning home is possible only when there is no entanglement in the objectivity. Entanglement comes when we do not know how to act. With the five senses. That's why when you come home or when you get back, when you try to get back, the outer entanglements keep reminding you in your mind. And the mind is pulled hither and thither. And the effort to meditate becomes a fruitless process. More and more frustration through meditation. Because only outer things are constantly reminded to the mind by the mind. This entanglement is due to either overactivity or underactivity. Vis-a-vis the five senses, yes, vis-a-vis the five organs of the body, so that's where the knowledge is to be gained. That's where you will learn the doctrine of action. The doctrine of action is called Karma Yoga. That means to be associated with the divine and to act. Yes. Action is in its right proportion only when we remain with the divine in thought and conduct the action. If not, we tend to overact or underact. Yes, that's where yoga says, Yogastha kuru karmani, meaning staying in yoga, conduct the activity. Staying in yoga means staying in union with the divine. The meaning of yoga is the union. Yes. Stay in yoga, stay in union and conduct actions. Then it is karma yoga. Meaning action conducted in union with the divinity. Staying in union, read the scriptures. Then it is Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga is understood as acquisition of knowledge. Acquisition of knowledge is easier when you stay in union with the divine and learn. So this unity with the divine through thought is strongly recommended. When that is missing, any amount of efforts would put us into either dynamism or inertia or into poise. Yes. None of these three can give the state of liberation. The Lord says, even if you stay in poise, you cannot associate with me. So that's where he gives the nature of the three qualities after giving the nature of the five, the pentagon. The first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita are devoted to explain the pentagonal aspect of the creation and man. The last 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita are devoted to explain the nature of the triplicity in creation and how to transcend the triplicity. When the triple qualities are transcended, only then man is said to be liberated. That's why even the devas are not liberated. Not all devas are liberated beings. Because there are devas functioning with dynamism, there are devas functioning with inertia. There are devas functioning with poise. There are only few devas who know the divine. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, like you, the devas also came at a point of creation. They have come a bit earlier than you. But they too came much later in creation. So they do not know me, just as you do not know me. The devas too do not know me. There are only few devas who know me. And those devas form the hierarchy. And those humans who know me also join that hierarchy. That's how there is the hierarchy which stands liberated in creation. Hierarchy is an example of standing free while surrounded. And all accomplished yogis are part of that hierarchy. And similar hierarchies exist at every plane, who form the ladder to the ultimate. The hierarchy starts with the Kumaras, followed by the 7 seers, the 14 Manus. Yes. Likewise, there is in 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord prescribes how the hierarchy exists in creation. Yes. Please refer to 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita to know about them. And we too, through the path of yoga, can reach up to that state. Yes. So having withdrawn from the senses into the heart and having moved up vertically up to the brow center, which I mentioned to you in the morning with the help of the story of Arjuna, who is settled in Indraprastha. Indraprastha is the place of Indra, which is just below Ajna, just below the triangle. Yes. The next step for you is to experience the self, which forms the center of the triangle. That means you have to transcend the borders of the triple qualities and get to the center, and thereafter get absorbed into that which is the basis for the center. Because every center is an emergence. So the unit consciousness emerging from the totality of consciousness realizes itself when it transcends the triple qualities through which the unit consciousness is conditioned. So in that context, it is of value to us if we try to know how these three qualities cause the necessary bondage to the body, and the consequent limitations. The unbound being is bound thrice through the three qualities, and later bound by the five senses. The Veda says that the bull is bound thrice. Tridha baddho rishabho roraviti. The bull is bound thrice and is roaring. The first bondage is emergence from the totality to unit consciousness. The second bondage is through this triplicity. The third bondage is through the five senses. These are the three bondages. Yes. So to overcome the triple, the three qualities have to be understood. And then the related practice is to be carried out so that we stand liberated within the body. Yes. In that context, he says even poise causes limitation or bondage, conditioning. The being who is in poise has desire for knowledge and the comfort of knowledge. There are many who are bound to knowledge, bound to the comfort of knowledge. There is comfort in knowledge. Yes. The desire for comfort is a limitation. Liberation is the state where there is beingness and there is no desire. It is just beingness. Beingness is beyond comfort and discomfort. Beingness is beyond equilibrium or disequilibrium. Beingness is beyond all dualities. So that beingness suffers a distortion when there is urge for the comfort of knowledge. Yes. Normally knowledge leads you to the highest point of awareness. Insofar as knowledge is comprehended and worked upon. There is speculative knowledge and operative knowledge. These are the two parts of knowledge. How to act, there is knowledge. How to contemplate and identify with the divinity, there is a speculative knowledge. The operative knowledge has to be operated upon. The speculative knowledge should be utilized to rise high in awareness. Yes. The being gets many times conditioned by its own knowledge, conditioned by its own desire for knowledge, its own glamour for knowledge. Yes. That's why the sense of beingness is said to be the culmination of the being into the divinity. The great initiates therefore lived with or without comfort. Yes. Comfort is overcome. Yes. Comfort is normal requirement of the beings in every aspect of life. Bodily comfort, domestic comfort, economic comfort, social comfort. It's very natural to desire that. Is it wrong to desire comfort in family life, comfort in economic life, comfort in the body? It's not wrong, but it is also a way to get conditioned. Because what is comfort? What is comfort to one may not be that comfortable to the other. Yes. To sleep one needs a place. To sleep one needs a cot. Another needs a cushion. A third one needs a bigger cushion. The fourth one needs comfortable heat or cold. So, where do you define comfort? It is relative. And in search of comfort, man has gone astray. To accept things as they are given is possible only for people who are beyond this sense of comfort and sense of knowledge. Knowledge tells us that we have to eat healthy food because it gives health. And the comfort of health is a good comfort. Yes. Suppose such healthy food is not available. You are conditioned for want of healthy food. That's why the seers demonstrate eating anything as it comes to them for the day. They are the ones who are beyond this sense of comfort. Yes. If available, they accept. If not available, they do not crave for it. Likewise, knowledge gives us many clues as to how to live, but not at all times you get the required conditions. That's where the lives of the seers become important. They demonstrate the comfort of beingness and do not look to the comfort of knowledge. These are the ones who are considered to be the liberated beings. If you read the stories of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Sai Baba of Shirdi, and persons of that category, you get many times the shock. It looks to be too dangerous to live like that. Nothing conditions them. Lack of food does not condition them. Lack of health does not condition them. Lack of water does not condition them. Lack of anything does not condition them. Because there is no feeling of discomfort by the lack of anything. Because in the divine there is everything. The divine is everything. And your association with the divine keeps you beyond even the desire for comfort. Otherwise the being looks for one kind of comfort or the other. This is where you find the highest category of initiates, whose stories are amazing and many times beyond the logic of the human mind. So even if poise conditions, imagine how the other two qualities condition. That's why the Lord first speaks of conditioning through the quality of poise. Conditioning through the quality of poise is first mentioned in Gita. No doubt, poise is the state of purity. Among the three, it is the best. Poise is also the state of constant vibration. Poise is also the state of brilliance. Among the three, it is the best. But still, it has the urge for knowledge and the related comfort, and hence it becomes part of the triangle but not beyond the triangle. That's why for all the poised ones, the next step in evolution is to transcend that poise, which does not mean lack of poise, but beyond poise, where there is neither the sense of comfort or discomfort, nor the sense of pleasure or pain, or the sense of profit or loss. That's the ultimate. Yeah. So the divinity graces those who would relinquish even the desire to be comfortable of knowledge. So the Lord says, the two conditioning aspects of poise is the desire for knowledge and the desire for the related comfort. Then he speaks of the quality of dynamism. As regards the quality of dynamism, there is desire to acquire. Things other than knowledge. Desire to acquire knowledge is also dynamism. When the desire to acquire knowledge becomes a dynamic activity, man tends to be excessively oriented to knowledge, less oriented to practicality. Any desire in excess is considered in the scripture as dynamism. Don't understand the word dynamism as we normally understand. It's overactivity. The right word is overactivity. Overactivity in any aspect of life is due to extra dosage of desire that one carries. And he is bound by such activity with excessive likes and dislikes. Yes. And he is also bound to excessive doing. To him, doing is everything. Yes. He forgets that doing is inferior to being. He even forgets that there is some such a thing as beingness, and all doing is on the background of such beingness. So they keep on doing and doing and doing in an excessive manner and create the related consequences. Today, there is such hyperactivity in the human being. Consequently, there is excessive doing in everything and anything. Excessive economic activity, excessive political activity, excessive social activity. In the process, man has lost the sense of beingness. Yes. The masters say, cultivate the sense of beingness in preference to the sense of achievement. Sense of attainment is inferior to the sense of beingness. So this urge to attain causes excessive attachment to doing, and there is no satiation through doing. Unsatiated activity, any amount of power does not satisfy men. Any amount of money does not satisfy man. There is demand for more and more and more and more. And hence more and more he is bound to action and the related exhaustion of energy. The more one is into action, the more it generates desire. Action generates desire. Desire generates action. And again action generates desire. So there is a vicious circle of desiring action and action giving birth to greater desires or more desires. Life tends more towards to complexity of greatness than the simplicity of goodness. Yes. There is difference between greatness and goodness. Goodness has the quality of simplicity. And the simplicity is proximate to truth. Greatness has complexity of further desire, further ambition, leading to unlimited activity. So just as poise has two conditioning aspects of desire for knowledge and the related comfort, the overactivity creates excessive desire as one condition, as one aspect of conditioning, and excessive attachment to action. Many times the higher ones tell us that you are human beings but not doings. Doing is a smaller part relating to you. Being is eternal. Beingness is eternal. As being you are eternal. Doing is periodical. Don't reduce yourself getting absorbed into doing, forgetting the original quality of beingness. Every being takes to the stage of becoming in doing. There is being and becoming. Having become, you shall have to be again. So being and becoming are the two essential aspects of existence. On the basis of beingness, there is the activity. Beingness is divine. Activity relates to the work of nature with beingness as the basis. Without beingness, there is no nature, and without nature there are no qualities. Without qualities there is no action. So the action, the qualities and the nature, they have their basement in beingness. So you have to be to start with. To be and to do when required, and to get back to be. Yes. That's why it is said, be it. Yes. Just be it. Yes. There is a slogan, just do it. Yes. Just do it comes from the quality of rajas, overactivity. Just be it. By beingness, you have mastered the activity, because everything is under the control of beingness. And everything is a product of beingness. Yes. Beingness does not tire you. Yes. Beingness is ever fresh because it is eternal. There is neither growth nor fall in beingness. In doing there is growth, there is fall, and the related change in the vibration. So coming to the second quality of rajas or overactivity, the Lord says that there is association with this excessive desire to the point of being hungry and thirsty to fulfill desires. It develops attachment to doing. All our attachments to the objectivity are due to excessive doing. Yes. If you see the dewdrop on the petal of a flower, dewdrops fall on the petal and depart, but the petal remains unaffected, untouched by the dewdrop. There is a special leaf of lotus which is prescribed in this context. The lotus leaf receives many dewdrops and delivers them to their destination, but it remains. No dewdrop is stuck to the leaf. Likewise, many actions may come and go. Many events may come and go. You don't have to go with the events. You don't have to arrive with the events and go with the events. Things come to pass. Everything that comes is to pass upon the background of beingness. From childhood till now, many things have come to pass. When you came alone. Many have come into life. Many would go away from life. Many events come, many events go. So you can't go with every event. You have to stay and let events come to pass. Yes. That's a mantra. Let events come to pass. Yes. Their coming is not in your hand. Yes. But you are not sticking to them can be cultivated through practice. That's why there is a mantra, let go. Yes. Person who knows how to let things go, he is not stuck with anything. We grip things, persons, places. That which we grip grips us. Anything you grip grips you. Yeah. You grip knowledge, knowledge grips you. You grip comfort, comfort grips you. Any person whom you possess is a source of problem. The problem is not in the person, in your attitude of possessing. As much you possess, so much you suffer. Because nothing remains in creation. It comes to pass. That's why in Bhagavad Gita, the example of the lotus leaf is given. Today, we can give the example of the silver screen. In a movie theater or in a television. Many images come to pass on the screen. Many stories happen. Yes. The screen is not affected. From stories of murder to the stories of love, from stories of social themes to mythological themes. So many themes come and go. So many characters come and go. But the screen is ever fresh for the next movie, next story, next image. This is the knowledge that enables one remain detached from events that keep happening in life. Another age-old example is the river flow. When you look at the river, it's the same river apparently, but it is only the drops of water moving in collectivity in a rhythm that you feel that the river is. And on the river, many things come to pass. That's why life is compared to a river. Life is compared to a silver screen. And life is compared to the lotus leaf. In the Testament also, they write, before they narrate an event, it came to pass. Yes. You may see, before every chapter, they write, it came to pass. Yes. The group life comes to pass. Something else will come. It will also pass. Everything passes by. Body comes to pass. Because body has come. Is it not? Body has come and has grown and will go. That's the knowledge. With this knowledge, you don't get the instinct to grip things which are anyway to pass. What is the use in gripping things which are to pass? What is it that does not pass? Is beingness. That is what you are. Upon the beingness, there is the movie of the activity of the three qualities. Remain associated with beingness and enjoy the work, the game of the three qualities. And it's not possible for people who are drowned in doing. That's why from time to time, between two doings you have to be for a while. Yes. Increase the moments of beingness. Meditation is only for that purpose. When we are in beingness, there is respite, there is peace, there is that comfort of beingness. But we have gone so far with doing, to us meditation is also a doing. Meditation is not a doing. Meditation is a process of receptivity. Yes, in this sense, you would allow the beingness to descend into you. You open up to the beingness beyond the three qualities and pray for the beingness to enter into you through the point within the triangle. Yes, the point within the triangle is the gateway between the being and your being. Yes. That was what given to Madame Blavatsky to daily look at. Yes. To gaze at the circle with a central point. No triangle. The circle speaks of the unity of existence. The point speaks of emergence of a unit consciousness. And hence Madame Blavatsky was required daily to meditate upon it. The point within the circle is the gateway between the divine and yourself. You should allow the divine to enter into you through the point and to fill the three qualities, restructure the three qualities into an equilateral triangle, further restructure the five senses so that the five remain in synthesis. That's how we should enable the beingness to fulfill us in meditation. If you believe in doing, it doesn't work. Meditation is waiting, proposing to the beingness to enter into you. That's why in white magic, the master says, meditation is a negative activity. Yes. Lest we may misunderstand, in the brackets, after the word negative, he wrote receptive. Yes. To be negative is to be receptive. To be active, to be positive is to be active. Yes. So we need to receive the divinity in us so that we are lifted up into the divinity. And hence meditation is not doing, just invoking the divinity and waiting to receive the divinity into us. So when once this beingness is lost into doing, we have, as I said, the excessive desire, attachment, yes, excessive inquisitiveness leads you into the bondage of doing and also the consequences of overdoing. So that's how the hyperactivity or rajas binds you. Then tamas or inertia is called underactivity, which is the other quality. It's because of tamas we are able to sleep. Otherwise, the being would have lost itself. Since we do not know how to withdraw from the hyperactivity of the day, the nature arranged the quality of inertia. Yes. That it overtakes the activity and puts you to sleep. Sleep is a state of unconsciousness. Yes. There is not much difference between the dead and the sleeping one. Yes. So sleep is nature's blessing worked out through the quality of inertia. Between 2 or 3 acts, people with weak legs like me would look for a chair. That is also the nature's protection through inertia. Yes. If we are asked to stand and listen to this class, we can't. So inertia to the body is arranged by resting them in the chairs. Yes. Activity is for the mind, which is lifted into the buddhic levels through teaching. So the nature arranges the state of unconsciousness through sleep. Yes. So the quality of inertia is unconsciousness. Yes. Not conscious of what it is. Yes. These are the ones who get frequently illusioned. Yes. We all have the quality of inertia, quality of dynamism. Momentarily we may have poise. Yes. We are moved between overactivity and underactivity of rajas and tamas. So the soul is thus habituated to the swing. So it's a swinging soul as between the qualities of rajas and tamas. As we get up, activity. The activity has its limit. Whether you like it or not, there is a point at which you fall asleep. Yeah. And you can't sleep forever. You can't work forever. So sleep and activity, they alternate. Yes. But then there is the third point of beingness, which is the basis for your awakening and falling asleep. Beingness is the basis for waking up. Beingness is the basis even during the sleep. In sleep, we exist. We are sure of it. If we feel that we may not exist in sleep, we will not sleep. Do we sleep? If people tell us the moment you sleep, you die. It's such a scaring thing. And nevertheless we sleep to die. While sleep is its blessing, bodily rest is its blessing. Termination of an activity is the blessing of inertia. Termination of all activity is the problem of inertia. These are the people who tend to be lazy. The lazy ones are late for everything. If generally we are late for things, understand that there is more inertia. We have more inertia. If we are too early for things, understand that we are suffering from overactivity. If we are to travel to the other continent, there are people who prepare. Mentally they keep traveling much earlier. Yes. Isn't it? People who reach the railway station, the airport, or the meetings or conferences far earlier than required are the people who are affected by overactivity. The others, they miss the flight, they miss the train, they come late to any conference. Yes. Sitting here, everything can be seen. Yes. There are people who are late. They show the same pattern every day. There are people who are much early. They show the same pattern every day. Yes. Likewise, at the dining table, people who come very early, even from 12 o'clock they keep looking at the watch for lunch. Somehow 12:30 does not arrive for them. Yes, the watch moves slow for them. Yes. For these lazy ones or slow ones, the watch moves faster. Yes. Unfortunately, every morning, many of us feel, oh, it's already 5 o'clock. And there are others who wake up at 3 o'clock and cannot sleep till 5 o'clock and wake up much early, get ready much early. So these are what are given by Pythagoras as the distortion of the angles in the triangle. Yes. He has explained everything only through this basic triangle, the whole wisdom. It is Vedic. It is called Trayi Vidya, meaning the wisdom of triangles. The whole activity of creation is of triangles. The whole activity of man is triangular. It is in between Rajas, Tamas and Sattva, meaning overactivity, underactivity and poise. So when it comes to the underactivity as a quality, the first effect they suffer is they misunderstand. You say something, he understands something. And even if you say, I did not say so, he insists, no, you said so. What is said is not understood in its right sense. What is seen is not understood in the right sense. What is tasted is also not experienced in the right sense. Yes. Everything is misunderstood. They misexperience. Yes. That is how the underactivity is a situation where there is a loss of consciousness. Yes. That loss of consciousness leads to mistakes, leads to forgetfulness, leads to delays in doing things, leads to excessive inertia. Yes. Given a chance, a man of inertia would like to sleep. Yes. The foremost thing for him is to sleep. Because sleep is the quality of inertia. Yes. He would like to rest, he would like to eat, and he would not like to work. Because to work is the activity of dynamism. So he is contrary to it. These three qualities are well described in Ramayana as the three brothers who are the three diabolics. Yes. There is one who is ever active. He is called Ravana. There is the other one who sleeps continuously for 6 months, wakes up only to eat, and sleeps again for 6 months. Just like we sleep for 6 hours, he sleeps for 6 months. That is his style. Yes. It's only presentation of the quality of inertia. The other fellow, he sleeps once in 6 months. Yes. He has so much overactivity, he doesn't find enough time to work. So day and night he works. And then there is the second brother called Kumbhakarna. It's difficult to wake him up from sleep. Yes. They used to bring drums to beat around his ears. Yes. Also bring elephants and make them roar. Yes. Bring tigers, lions, anything you may do at his ears. He just doesn't get up. Yes. People used to get on his belly and dance. Still he doesn't get up. It is very well prescribed in Ramayana. And then there is the third brother who is a balance between the two. Vibhishana. It is he who grows proximate to the Lord, Rama. So likewise, the scriptures give a symbolic presentation of these qualities from time to time. Just like the 5 sons of light in Mahabharata give an example, yes, of the 5 senses, and Arjuna being the central brother, middle brother, being the synthesis of the 5 senses. In Ramayana you find the 3 brothers born in the family of diabolics with the 3 qualities. Eventually, the brother with overactivity, the brother with underactivity die. The brother with poise grows proximate to divinity and become divine. Such messages are very beautifully presented through scriptures. So coming back to the third quality, please remember, illusion is its basis. Yes. If there is a thread like this here, arranged as Om, if you have illusion, it appears as snake. That's a classic example given in the scriptures. Or if it is really a snake, you think it is a rope. Step on it. Have the experience of it. These are the ones who believe that which they are not supposed to believe and disbelieve that which they are supposed to believe. They always set their wrong foot out from the bed. Yes. If there are two ways to go, when you come to a crossroads, yes, they instinctively take to the wrong road. They contemplate and intuitionally feel the wrong road to be the right road. And later argue that actually it is the right road, but of late they have made some changes. They don't accept. These are the people who don't accept their mistakes. Their mistakes are glaring and are very frequent, and there is no point in telling them or showing them their mistakes. They just don't accept them. Yes. They feel they are fine, they are the best. Others don't understand them. Yes. It's like you don't understand anything and you feel that the whole world doesn't understand you. The stories relating to illusion are always very humorous, but we are not very far from it. Is it not illusion to feel male, female? Yes, because it is oneness, one being. So illusion has a purpose, so that you don't behave with a female like a male. Yes. Illusion is needed, isn't it? Illusion is necessary for social order, for creational order. But illusion is not necessary when you are thinking in terms of beingness. So in terms of beingness, when illusion is spoken of, an illusioned one tries to misapply the doctrine of illusion. Yes. By misapplication, he does wrong things. So that is his major problem, that he gets illusioned and he excessively, he does mistakes and he is just fond of sleep. Yes. The first one is nearer to be. The original commandment is just be it. When it comes to our activity, just do it. Yes. When it comes to inertia, just sleep it away. So that's the best solution. So that's how the three qualities are introduced. We'll continue with greater detail in the next 2 days. Thank you.